Welcome to the conclusion of our 17-week series as we went through our building center to give you an in-depth look of our building process of your new Palm Harbor home. We conclude with the questions submitted for our Q&A.
Welcome, folks. I'm Howard Broughton again with Palm Harbor Homes and Cavco up in Fort Worth, Texas, and we have with us today Jeff Anthony Garcia. And we are today give you a special treat because we're going to go through questions and answers that you guys have sent in over the weeks as we've gone through the construction process on building a Palm Harbor home. So what we're going to do is try to answer some of these that were sent in, and let's get started and see what we got here.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first question that we got is, what does your roof warranty cover and what is considered not under warranty?
Well, it's pretty easy. When you think about the construction of a home, we cover the things that we build, our construction of putting the house together. Items like appliances or things that other manufacturers build have their own warranty. So ours is simple. We cover the construction of the home, and what we don't cover is acts of Mother Nature.
So that would mean wind,
it could be high wind, hail, destruction that Mother Nature could cause, earthquakes, that kind of stuff.
And if something like that was to happen, what resorts do the consumers have?
Call your insurance companies first. Make sure everything gets registered in. Have them come out and take a look at it and start from there. Start that process.
Yeah, absolutely. I know when we sell you your home, you're going to get a insurance policy provided by Standard Insurance, which is the leader in manufacturing home insurance. They lead the way, and their claim adjusters are awesome. They're one of the highest rated insurance agencies for manufactured homes. So, great question. The second question we received was, do you offer just a set gauge on your metal roof?
Yes, we do. One is because it's easier for us to stock one kind and we decided to stock the thickest kind, which is a gauge 26. There are manufacturers that use a 29 gauge out there, but that could get dimpled during some hailstorms. So we use the 26 gauge steel. And I'm also mentioned that the 26 gauge steel in insurance has a class 4 rating. So sometimes you get a discount on the insurance if you bring that up to them and let them know what you have. 26 gauge, one size.
So, thickest gauge.
And
great on the insurance.
Bet. Right.
That's definitely more home for your money, I say.
Yes.
All right, perfect. All right. The next question we got is, what is used to secure the roof to the walls of the home?
Okay, we covered that, but sometimes you go so fast you don't really see exactly what the items are. But on our rafters, as they're secured to the tops of the walls, there's a 5-inch screw that is toe-nailed in from both sides of the rafter, which sits on a 2-foot center. Those screws go in, plus on the end of straps intermittently, or ends of the rafter, they'll put a 26 gauge steel strap where they'll strap the rafter down to the sidewall of the home, giving it extra strength. Then one more thing they do, they take a piece of wood that's the same width as the top of the wall, and they'll set it on top of the gypsum and nail that down. That keeps your paneling on the inside from cupping ever, so it lays flat, so the moldings fit up flat and tight. But without that piece of wood, you could ensure that it's going to stay flat, tight. So we got screws, nails, and the strapping that all go to fasten that wall down.
What's a toe-nailed? What does that mean?
Toe-nail is when you have two pieces of wood that intersect at a 90 degree. And toe-nail is when you take the fastener and you drive it in at a 45-degree angle. So if you've got your rafter there, it comes in at this angle and comes in at the opposite angle at 45 degrees. That's a term called toe-nail.
Okay, yeah, definitely. All right, another great question is, what does on-center mean?
Good question, because I want to bring this up because there's varying sizes of that. If we say on-center, it's just a simple term that says whatever the joist, the rafter, or the wall stud, it's at the center of that portion of wood from the center of the next portion of wood, whatever you're building. And the reason that's important is because you want to make sure that the paneling or decking or rafter, whatever you're putting up, is going to fit evenly at that seam on 16-inch centers. There are some manufacturers that build on 19.2. You multiply that out, and every 4 feet you're missing a rafter or you're missing a floor joist. So we build 16 inches on center.
So that means if I was a stud, and we know you're a stud.
Not that kind of stuff.
So from my center of mass to your center of mass, we're 16 inches apart.
Yeah, 16 inches apart to the next one.
Okay, so it's not the in between us. It's from
The
the center to
in-between
the
is
center.
like 14 and a half. Now that may sound small. It's the same thing as 16 inches on center.
Perfect. Awesome. Is our tongue and groove flooring only nailed or are they glued?
Both. We use tongue and groove flooring to keep those panels, if you remember from the video, from rising up or down. And when we put that on there, if you glue the joists before you put the floor decking down, that makes the floor joist keep it from cracking or moving on you so it won't squeak. If you then shoot it with a nail in the top, and the shank of the nail is halfway up is glued, so when that shoots through, the superheated friction of that causes that to fit really tight, and the head of that nail is down below the surface. So we do both glue and nail, and it's tongue and grooved rather than being butt joint.
Yeah.
That's above grade.
Yeah. And they're not they're not shy about how many nails they put down either. I
No, sometimes those guns really go off really quick.
Yeah, they do. I mean,
do.
they literally are just like da 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 all the way down. So
They know how to do that. They've been
Yeah.
doing it all day.
definitely. All right. Can our homes be modified? Example: could we remove a window, move a wall, things of that nature?
There's going to be a yes and a no part to that question. Anytime you modify from a approved engineering print that's in our package that we get from with HUD, get it approved with HUD, that is a set way that it's going to be built, known all the time to fit the code. If you decide that you're going to move a window, then that requires a special option request, slows the process of the house down, goes to engineering, of course, increase the cost. Sometimes they can be done. You might inquire about it, but for the most part, if you find a floor plan you love, somebody's already thought about 14 different things that you're just coming above, and that's what you'd like to see, and it's already on there. So yeah, you can move some things, but some things we're going to say, no, you have to have a certain amount of space into a room, and you can't do that. And of course, it's set on 16 on center, so the floor and the wall may all line up, and you get off of those centers. So yes,
Yeah,
ask questions.
Definitely. All right. One of my favorite portions when we were going through the exterior of the house, we talked about the LP Smart Panel. This specific person asked, "What does the 50-year limited warranty actually cover for a smart panel siding?"
Okay, that's a great question. And about every year or so, or 2 years, I have to go back to the internet, type in LP Smart Panel, it'll pop up, and it'll give you 2 pages of script on what the warranty is and how it's conducted and all that. And the 50-year part, what it's referring to is the antifungal properties, the rosins in the glue, stops the panel from cracking, peeling, chipping, and they're very proud of that, of course, and they have a 50-year warranty that's on that, and it says that right in there. It doesn't cover the paint job. It doesn't cover the installation if you have Jeff put it on for you.
I'm in sales for a reason.
Oh, yeah. But it has to do with the integrity of the panel itself.
Perfect. So, just like the roof and the shingles, if it's acts of Mother Nature, that's an insurance claim, right?
And it's something that can't be controlled by either you or us as we use the paneling, and it's just a terrific panel. Wood grain set up on 8-inch centers on the design. Manufacturers all over the country are using it. We like it.
All right, perfect. What's the benefit of bow floor over other rolled goods? Bow flooring is the material we use on our flooring.
Yes. The bow floor we use is manufactured by a company called Syntex out of Rome, Georgia, and they've moved to America. They used to be out of Belgium. We love their product. For one thing, it has a really trendy design on it that when you look at the surface, if they want to put those trendy wood grains on it, it really looks great for us. And it's a solid one piece. It goes on as a sheet. So no matter what you drop on the floor, water or spill, there's not going to go into a crack, and it's not going to get to the substrate. It's going to stay right onto the surface. They're very good to us using this material because some of the old sheet good materials have a paper back to them, and paper has a tendency to give a memory, so you wind up with a furl or something like that. This stuff is great. We pull it out. We cover the entire floor after it's been sanded, and it goes underneath the walls. So it's a solid sheet onto the floor, and for that reason, it really works well for us.
Perfect. And what does Bow offer as far as the warranty to their floor covering?
You know, I looked that up on the internet, and I called the folks, and I haven't got a report back yet. But it looks like that a typical floor of theirs in vinyl, I said, will go from 10 to 20 years. And they make all different kinds, but they said vinyl flooring will last from 10 to 20 years. And sometimes the folks want to change that out. Sometimes they leave it the same color, and it's fine. But I didn't find anything written exactly that says X number of days or months or whatever, but it's just an excellent looking flooring for us, and it performs well for us, and we decided we want to continue to use it.
And if you have any other questions regarding the Bow floor, you can always email me at gm088@palmharbor.com, and I'll get a link from Bow Flooring and send you over the warranties that they cover
If we can get
directly. All right. Could you go over what materials come with the home when it's delivered? So, once again, that was a great segment that we had to end our 17 week or week 16.
There's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
There's really two parts to the setup kit that comes with it. The first part is the part that's needed by our factory trim out crews from Gold Key Care that come out and do the assembly of the home and putting those portions together. So where it mates on the inside of the home, they have all the materials and the moldings, the cap that goes into the ceiling, and the block moldings to finish out the center line, and being able to pull the carpet over the center line or put in a transition bar. You go all around the inside. The outside the same way. They have trim pieces that put over where the seams of the two sections come together. Then they have the paints. You have the interior paint that came with the house down the production lines. The dye lots are right. You have the accent colors. You have those different paints that go into there. You have a paint on the exterior. So if that needs to be touched up or something hits it or baseball hits it or whatever, you have the same color paint that you can touch up. That's left in the can. Now shingles, things like that, they're there. So there's a first part that's factory trim out. The second part is what is left. And basically that's all your paints. Sometimes the setup crew will leave the rest of the stuff that's in there, and sometimes they will take them and use them on other houses as they can because they're setup kit parts. But for the most part, you're going to find what you need in case there's something that it gets damaged inside the home and you want to replace it or fix it yourself.
All right. What is a wind zone, and how do I, as a consumer, know that my home was built to the correct wind zone?
That's a great question. Built under the HUD standards that we have to comply, our homes are built to a wind zone of 1, 2, or 3. And if you want to know where you are on the map, there is a map associated on what is called a compliance certificate. That's just a simple 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and it's glued to the wall inside the closet. If you'll go in there and you look on that map and find where you live, it'll tell you whether it's wind zone 1, 2, or 3. You cannot take a lower number house, like a wind zone 1, and put it into a wind zone 2 or 3. Those are more constructed differently because of the consistent higher winds that are going to be, or weather conditions that are going to be in those wind zone areas. So you can't get those crossed. You can't take a wind zone 1 and put it in a 2. You can go the other way, but you can't go down. And they'll be on that compliance certificate. And of course you can ask your retailer, who is all-knowing.
Yes, that's true. All right. Is there any structural compromise when using the finger jointed stud versus a solid stud?
No, I think I've been asked that before. If you'll notice that our finger joints, they do several things for us. They're vertical. They're not horizontal. They're made to be vertical. And one thing about them on an engineered stud, we don't make those. We get those from the supplier who makes them. He uses materials that ordinarily would have been thrown away or try to recycle in some other way, but they use those finger joints and put together. And because they're finger joints with glue on them, they are very securely fastened together. So they perform better than a regular wall stud because they're not going to have the turns or the twists that God made trees to do. And we've never had those. Since we started using those, we don't change out any bowed wall studs. They're superior. Great.
Yeah. That was an excellent question. We've heard that question quite a bit on the retail end. That's a great answer. The last question that we got, which you mentioned quite a bit in every segment, is what do you mean by above code? And give us an example of what you mean.
Well, that's a term I use because at Palm Harbor, we don't build what is called minimums. And so minimums is what we call builder grade. And if you go shopping at any of the major lumber stores, they're going to have some items listed as builder grade, and some kind of the lower priced homes will be called builder grade. We build above code. So if we have a set of codes that we build by through our HUD, they tell us what our minimums are, and then what is usually an option for our competitors, we build as standard. Okay, let's give you an example. If HUD code tells me I can use a single pane window, here at Palm Harbor we're using double pane. That's not code required. That's above code. So we do things like that. Or they may say you can use a plastic faucet. Well, we'll use metal guts in our faucets. That's not a requirement, but it's something that we may do. So trying to give you some examples of that, if we build better, then we're above code. We don't build the minimum. So sometimes you go in and you say, well, Jesus, Palm Harbor is just a little bit more money. Well, that's because it's got a lot more of these things in there that you don't have to be concerned about down the road because you got better items throughout your home. So when I say above code, it's going to separate you from the lower end product. And it's what you really want for your family.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, here at Palm Harbor, we're really proud of our slogan, the more home for your money.
More home for your money.
And it definitely goes into what we always talk about, building above the code. It's those small little things that matter at the end. So
Yes.
perfect. I can tell you it was a pleasure being able to
fun.
go through the factory and give you guys a look at how we actually build our homes here in Fort Worth. And Howard, from myself and everyone else who has been following these videos, we want to thank you for the time that you gave us
My
to walk
pleasure.
us through.
Yes.
And we look forward to seeing you again in future segments. That is it. 17 weeks, 4 months in combined of time that you guys gave to us. So now all that's left is for you to come and see it in person. Come check out Howard, myself here. We build how many homes?
We build 15 homes a week. 15 homes a week.
How many floor plans do we offer?
There's probably 84 different versions, but there's very few series of homes where you got the Popular Horizons or the Magnums and Pecan Valleys. But if you look through our plans, you're probably going to find something that fits your family to a T, the best. And you can come in and see how we make them.
Yeah, absolutely. And many great things happening, especially with our extension as well, to help build the homes even quicker. So
yeah, we're doing the plant expansion in the back, trying to get that done because there's so many people asking for them. We can't build them fast enough, but we are. We're going to work at it.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. So from all of us here at Palm Harbor, Fort Worth, we thank you. We love you guys. Talk to you soon.